Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. Alright guys, today we are going to follow up on a video that we did previously. If you guys recall, we did a video all about the cross-jurisdictional task force that's all focusing on guns and gun trafficking to stop the violent crime in the big cities. Ironically, that all have extreme gun control measures, and the 5 cities are Los Angeles, San Francisco Bay Area, Washington, D.C., Chicago, and New York. All major gun control hubs, but for some reason it's not working. But we know that. We know it's not going to work because gun control does not work. But what we've not covered yet is the fracturing coalition that they have that supports this on the left. Okay? This is big because the big cities, Chicago, flat out just said in a few articles, don't come here, Biden. We don't want you, we don't need you, and you're going to make it worse. You don't believe me? I got the articles linked in the description box below, and hang out to the end of the video because there's 2 articles all hitting at the same vein of they don't want Biden because he's going to make it worse. Check this out. Here we go. And let me know what you guys think in the comments below, by the way. Alright, so, first article. Activists urge Biden to rethink anti-violence strategy. That's the task force, the 5 task force going into major cities that are struggling with gun violence right now. Okay? A group of Chicago area activists is urging President Joe Biden to rethink his plan to send a strike force to help local police stem the flow of illegal guns into the city. Now, on its face, that doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't Chicago want that? If there's such a problem with illegal guns coming in the city, even though it's a gun control zone, we're going to continue reading, but it doesn't make sense on its face. So let's keep going and check out the reasoning. In Chicago, the problem is not the end result of the person who pulls the trigger on the gun, as much as it is the system that allows him to have the gun, said Rev Marvin Hunter. Now, this is one of the activists in Chicago. Now, granted, I don't really know what he's talking about here because he literally says it's the system that allows him to have the gun. Well, the system doesn't really allow guns in Chicago, so I don't really know what he's referencing there, but we all know it's a heavy gun control zone. But this is where it gets a little spicy. Remember, Biden is the one sending this. Hunter said sending federal forces into violence-plagued neighborhoods on the west and south sides would only make things worse. We do not need to be attacked. We need to be heard. We need to be helped, Hunter said. Okay, if you've got communities in these major areas in Chicago saying that they're going to be attacked by the increase of federal presence, something that the Democratic leadership is originating, they've got a problem in their coalition. This is a problem because we all know throwing money at a problem and throwing a big federal task force is not going to solve the issue because the issue is not based around the unit of destruction. It's based around the hearts of men who are using them. We all know it's true and it's a harder problem, but that's what's going on. But now, here's the last quote of this article. The only way you can solve this problem, you've got to talk to the victims of the problem, McKinley said. You can no longer sit in the White House in his ivory tower and say, I know what the answer is. Okay, so they're jibing at Biden. Jiding at Biden. Okay? He sits in his ivory tower, he makes a decision, he solves it, and the little people can deal with it. That's what he's saying. This is from their core constituency in Chicago. Okay? Keep that in mind. But now, even the NAACP is expressing concerns about this, and they are pushing back. Check this second article out. NAACP concerned about Biden's gun control plan. Okay, that's again, that task force. This is coming out of Michigan. So now we're in the center belt of the United States. President Joe Biden recently announced a plan to reduce gun violence and other crimes nationwide. But leaders in the black community think it could do more harm than good. Again, same vein as Chicago, but this is in Grand Rapids, Michigan. This is 2 distinct different areas, okay? And here's, quote, "This is an ongoing problem that is occurring not only in Grand Rapids, but in cities across the country," said Carlton T. Mayers II, the policing reform advisor for the Grand Rapids NAACP. This is not a small person. "It encourages over-policing of black and brown communities, which ultimately results in the unnecessary harms and deaths of black and brown people," unquote. Now, if this is the way that they feel, that's in direct contradiction to what the Democratic leadership in Washington is doing and sending. If you've got a disconnect on the local level this strong in multiple cities and you think you're doing the right thing, this shows you're more off in 2022. It points to that. But now, let's dive in a little bit further. Mayors, this is the NAACP, says the community should be involved in the decision before money is allocated. And honestly, I agree with that sentiment. I think the local communities should be involved in these problems and these solutions, because that's where it's going to take place. They've got a point here, but the big deal is they're conflicting with the national versus the local. Okay? We are very much not in support of just arbitrarily giving money to law enforcement and not to community resources to deal with gun violence and violent crimes. They can use the money not only to hire more police officers, but also to use and purchase technology and other equipment. We're very concerned about that, said Mayers. That is the police reform person for NAACP in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So they are not only still sticking to the you shouldn't fund more police, they're also concerned that technology and other equipment will be disproportionately deployed against their constituency. They are showing cracks. Like, I didn't even think they were going to show this early, because you're talking about $1.9 trillion in the coronavirus relief, even more in the infrastructure that has $5 billion in it. They are throwing so much money at this problem, and it's not going to solve it. And even their constituencies in these cities they're sending these task forces to are bucking the system and saying, do not come, you're going to make it worse. Think about what that means for you and I from a Second Amendment supporter and rights standpoint. That is huge for 2022, because even though they're doing everything that they wanted, they're still getting pushback. And that's a big tell, and even more evidence to lean to 2022, where we've got to get out and do our thing to preserve our gun rights. And we're going to do it, because I'm going to do it here every night with you. But until tomorrow, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm Braden. See you later.